Are you lacking interview confidence? If you are, stick around because today I'm going to give you 5 steps that are going to assure that you approach the interview with total control and confidence. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then also hit that bell next to it. That way you'll be notified each time that I release a new video to help you land a job, and then once in that job, move up in your career as well. I use these 5 steps to secure roles with ADP and also with Looking.com. My clients have used these steps, hundreds of individuals approaching their interviews with confidence and control, and really truly knocking those interviews out of the park. Let's dive into step 1. Know your strengths. If you want somebody to get to know you, you've got to know yourself first. So let's talk about what your strengths are and why this is so important. As a certified strengths-based coach through the Marcus Buckingham Company, I've come to really dive deep into this topic and understand that it's not a job title that fuels and engages somebody. It's not a job title that you should be going after. It's activities. Where are the activities that are going to fuel and engage you and ultimately make you feel strong in the workplace? When you understand who you are, what fuels and engages you, what lights you up, and then you approach the job search highlighting those things and putting those things forward, ultimately you are going to impress, you're going to go with confidence, and you're going to land a job that is going to then fuel and engage you. It matches up beautifully with this first step. Now, the second step is to prepare your stories. Once you know your strengths, those activities that you're driving towards, you want to look back into your history and figure out, when were you at your best? When were you delivering the greatest value proposition? And then match that up to when you were doing those things, were you in your strengths lane? You don't just want to tell a story about a great moment if it's not something that you want to do again. As an example, when I was approaching ADP, I sold myself 5 years ago saying, hey, I'm great with data analytics. And I was, but I got into role and then I was the one building out the dashboards. Here, folks, I didn't love that work. I love coaching. I love delivering content, not metrics and sticking behind that computer. So for me, for the first couple of years while I was figuring that out and finding my true voice, it was a little painful. So as you're writing your stories, you're going to want to look at the work that you believe you've delivered impeccable value in. Then you're going to want to ask others. Ask a former coworker, somebody that was close to your work. When did you impact their life? When did you impact their work? How did you affect them in a great way? And then draft a story using something like STAR. In my situation, I would say SAR, situation, action, result. When faced with this, I did this and it yielded this. When faced with rising attrition, I put in a cross-functional team and we brought forth 2 initiatives that decreased attrition by 5% year over year. Situation, action, result. Okay, now if you want some help with this, stick around to the end of this video because I've got a free resource that is going to help you write your amazing career stories and make it super easy, so stick around. If this is resonating with you, if you're getting value from this content, then make sure to hit that like button. And then answer this question for us in the comments. What is one amazing story that you've got in your background? Try to use that situation, action, result, write a 1-sentence story, and then put it down in the comments so that we can all see that and praise you for it. Let's dive into step 3. This is about prepping your questions. As you're stepping into the interview, you've got to think about, I really like to break it down into 3 areas. The individuals that you're going to be meeting with. Look them up on LinkedIn. Get a great question, a great couple of questions to ask them. Think about the organization that you're going into, some good questions there, and then the role. What do you need clarity on? What is going to enable you to confidently say, yes, I want that job. I will do that job great. This is my new home. Okay, so a little bit of a format for asking these questions, putting them together. Look at a fact. So as you're researching, find a fact that strikes up some curiosity for you, something you're genuinely interested in, and then ask a further question about it. So fact plus curiosity. When I was researching you, Ryan, I saw that you actually have an undergrad in finance, and yet here you are working in career development and human resources. What from your finance background, I'm curious to know, what from your finance background has enabled you to then be more effective in the current role that you're in? Fact plus curiosity. And man, a great question shows so much about you. It shows the way you think. It shows your curiosity. It shows your agility, your adaptability, your grit, your determination, your desire to do the job because you're willing to do the work. Okay, so prep your great questions in those three categories that we talked about. Step 4, use your tools and resources. I'm going to go deep into one here. There is one particular tool that gets overlooked in terms of how I think you can use it in your interview to have that position of strength and confidence. Use your resume as a tool in the interview. So if you're looking at, as you're writing your resume, if you're looking at it from the perspective of how can I insert into my work history my critical stories? Not just a list of tasks in your work history, which is a really bad way to do your resume, by the way, but to write out stories. In each, maybe 3 bulleted stories that say, when faced with this, I did this and it yielded this. Everything has a result. And you know that those results are in your strengths lane. It's work that you want to repeat. And you also are thinking about the role that you're going into and saying, okay, would this organization and their life cycle in this role, would this story be valuable if I did it again? If you're doing that on every bullet in your work history, holy cow, you can bring in that printout. Whether it's on Zoom, whether it's in person, whatever it is, you bring that document. And they're going to ask you questions like, hey, what would you like for me to ask you about on your resume? What would you like to highlight for me from your resume? A lot of the questions that they'll generate will be like, hey, tell me more about when you did this. Or they might say, what would you like to tell me more about from your history? You can go right to those stories that you've prepared ahead of time. And folks, if you prepare good stories, it doesn't matter what question they ask you. You can find a way into your story. In the one that I gave you earlier that was about decreasing attrition, if they ask me, Ryan, tell me about a time that you worked with a difficult person. Well, let me tell you about that story. Tell me about a time that you worked on a project, that you led a team. Tell me about a time that you delivered great results for the business. Whatever question you ask me, I can key into that story. Can you see how confident you would be knowing that you had the answer to every interview question that they would possibly ask you because you had your 5-6 stories prepared? Not in long form. You have a sentence that triggers you back into that moment when you were with that team, with that group, delivering those amazing results. That's all you need is a cue. You're not memorizing your story. You're giving them the headline and then asking them what they want to know more about. You're using the question that they asked you to dive into that part of your story. That will give you power, confidence, and a firm foundation. Let's go on to step 5. Step 5 is to be fully present. The best way, let me tell you what I mean by being fully present. In this video, I am watching you. I am staring into your virtual eyes. I want to connect with you. I want you to see me seeing you. I am using my hands purposefully to help craft my message. I dressed the part. I wore the shirt I intended to wear. I prepped my hair, whatever. I buzzed my hair this morning so that I could come to this conversation and be present with you. I prepared notes right here on my computer in front of me. I know my talking points. Now, not every word, so that I can be present with you. Okay, none of this is about memorization. It's about having your goal in sight. Okay, when you're asked a question, an interviewer, a skilled interview can always tell if you're starting to answer the question before you know where you're going, because you look away and you're trying to find it. But when you have it and you know that story and you can connect with the individual and look eye to eye, even if it's virtual. Make sure not to look at your screen. Make sure to look at your camera so that you're looking eye to eye when you're talking to somebody in a Zoom meeting or something like that, okay? But when you have those stories prepared, you are confident, you are firm, you know where you're going, you know where the arrival point is, and you know how to tell those stories, you know how to answer every question. Now you can think about the details. Okay? That is so critically important. Now, if you're struggling to write your career stories, I want to help. So I've got that resource that I mentioned I was going to talk to you about earlier in the video. Head over to www.jobhackersnetwork.com/stories. And you'll have the opportunity there to add in your name and your email, and then receive access to what is called a one-pager. This is a full workflow that's going to take you through the steps, and I break it down into 6 steps that are going to help you write your career stories, help you trigger back into your mind, get those things on paper. This will make it so easy. And if you want confidence, if you want the ability to be able to sell yourself well, you have got to get back in your mind to your best values-driven moments, the times when you delivered impeccable value. This is how you do it. Head over to www.jobhackersnetwork.com/stories, put in your name and email address, and grab up that workflow. If you are ready to practice this, to get to the table with hiring managers, the key people who are making the real decisions, then head over to www.jobhackersnetwork.com, and there, give me your name and your email address, and you'll get right into a web class that has 3 secrets. Those 3 secrets are going to help you get to the table consistently with hiring managers, the real hiring managers, okay, the real decision makers, deliver an impeccable meeting once you're there. Building upon this confidence that you have now, this is giving you structure to deliver an impeccable meeting once you're there. Okay? And ultimately secure the job of your dreams. The job that is not just a pie in the sky thought, but a job that is practically putting you in a position to get paid what you deserve, but to do the activities, the things that you love that fuel and engage you, that make you whole when you come back home to your family because you were in your strengths lane at work. I can help you with that. Head over to www.jobhackersnetwork.com and grab that free web class. Now be sure to check out these videos on the screen so that you can further develop this skill set. Getting to the table, delivering, selling yourself, right? Getting to those hiring managers, and then ultimately getting in the job and moving up in your career. Okay, that's what we focus on here. Be blessed in this journey. Enjoy the journey. Grow during this journey. And I will see you in the next video.